Hey guys, A Million Card Tricks here, also known as Nathan. If you haven't seen my face before, yes, this is what I look like. I just want to start out the video first by thanking all of you for 500,000 subscribers. That is genuinely such a large number. Like, I've never in a million years imagined that I could reach that amount of subscribers when I started this channel 10 years ago, which is crazy to think about. I was like 14, just kind of started this channel for fun, just wanted to teach some of the tricks that I had been learning at the time. And yeah, now 500,000 of you seem to like those kinds of videos and are sticking with me. So I really genuinely appreciate it. I really do try to read all of your guys' comments, and I see all of the love and support, and I really do appreciate all of you guys. I really do. So for this video, I wanted to do something a little bit different, something kind of fresh, something new and exciting for my 500,000 subscribers special. Today we're going to be doing an ultimate card trick tier list. I don't know if this has ever been done before on YouTube, but I basically just went on this website and wrote down as many card trick related things that I could think of. And we're just going to be ranking all of them. So yeah, the way this is going to work, I'm just going to be putting things in this tier list based on my personal opinion. And don't get offended if I put something that you really like in like the bottom tier, like D or F, but I'm just going to explain my thought process with this. I'm just going to rank things based on my personal opinion and also how much I personally use this thing. So if it's something that I'm not super familiar with or something that I don't really use, then I'll probably rank it a bit lower, which might be a bit unfair, but this is like just a personal tier list for myself. So obviously everyone has their own opinion and everyone has their own styles of performing. So if you disagree, feel free to, have your own opinion. It's completely up to you. Yeah, so these are in no particular order. I literally just wrote down random stuff off the top of my head. So I hope that this will not be super all over the place and jumpy, but let's get right into it. With the first one here, let's just go by the top. I think this is a pretty simple ranking. We can just kind of leave it there at that. There's no real further explanation needed. Danny Dortiz is the GOAT. Yeah, that's really all I need to say. Okay, next up, let's do the ambitious card routine. Okay, so this is easily one of my favorite card tricks of all time, and it's also one of the most popular card tricks of all time. And that being said, I do think that kind of makes it feels like it shouldn't be in like S tier just because of how commonly performed it is. But absolutely, I wouldn't deny that this is a trick that I like always have in my back pocket, like something that I'm always able to perform at a moment's notice. The fact that it's impromptu is just great. So I think I would put it in A tier because I love it, but I do think that it kind of doesn't belong in S just because of how like overused it is. But don't get me wrong, amazing trick. Okay, so let's move on to double lift. So double lift, this is tough because it's easily one of the most versatile moves in Magic. Again, can be a bit overused, and also it can be difficult to pull off if you are like not super experienced or if you have like a poor double lift. So I probably will also put this in A. I will say I do use this pretty much all the time, so I feel like I should put it in S. I really want to perfect my push off double lift because right now I mostly do like the strike double lift along with the Stuart Gordon. Those are my main two ways to do the double lift, but I really want to perfect the push off because in my opinion that's the cleanest version of it. I'm not quite there yet though, so for now I'm gonna put this in A tier. Okay, so let's move on to the Cole. For me, personally, this is an S tier sleight of hand move right here because just of how like hidden it is. If you really get good at the Cole, it really is invisible, and I've been practicing it for many years, and I think I've gotten to the point where I'm not too bad at it. Like I've haven't had anyone really call me out on it for a very long time. So yeah, I would definitely put this in S tier. I think it's so incredible. And there's so many different ways to use the Cole, because you can use it as a control. You can also use it to like load cards into certain places and move cards throughout the deck. It's an incredible skill to have in your arsenal. So definitely an S tier. So, all right, let's move on to the shake change. I think the shake change is actually really good. I actually really do like this change a lot. I don't use it all the time anymore, so I feel like I would probably put it in the B category. For me, I do like color changes. I'm not like the biggest fan of them anymore. When I was first learning card tricks, this was like, you know, the coolest thing ever was to change a card visually. And I do feel like a lot of people do like that, but I would say that nowadays that's not necessarily my go-to style anymore. So I'll probably have to leave this in B. Same goes for the shapeshifter change. It's similar to the shake change, except it's a little bit more, I don't know, the methodology is a bit different there. The handling is a bit different. But I would probably rank this similar to the shake change, just because I really don't use this that much, to be honest, but it is really cool. Honestly, I'm probably gonna move it down to C, because yeah, I can't even remember the last time I actually did a shapeshifter change to a real spectator. It's been a very long time. So yeah, let's move on to Cardini change. I think the Cardini change is better than shapeshifter. I'll also put it in B. I'm gonna mostly put the color changes in like B tier. I feel like I'm gonna do that just because I don't really use them as much. Same with the Erdnase. I think it's really good. I don't use it that much, but it's a good color change. Okay, so let's move on to, all right, Invisible deck. So easily one of the coolest gimmick decks ever invented, hands down. The only problem is that it's not examinable, of course. And yeah, so that's like the main downside of it, and like you just can't do other tricks with it. But it really is like the epitome of like the best card trick ever. Like it really is that clean, because the spectator can just name any card, no force whatsoever, and then you're able to pull out the deck of cards and just have this impossible prediction of their freely thought of card face down in the deck, and it literally is impossible. So for that reason, I'd put it in A. I wouldn't put it in S just because like it's not examinable. That's kind of the one downside of it. Plus, I don't use this too often, but when I do, it's, you know, easily it gets the best reactions of the whole, you know, set. So yeah, that's that. So let's go on to Svengali deck. I actually really like the Svengali deck a lot, and I do think there's a lot of things that you can do with it besides the typical, you know, the card is always like on top or whatever. If you don't know what the Svengali deck is, it's basically there's 26 duplicates that are all shortened by like a 1/16 of an inch, alternating throughout the deck, so that you're able to force this card very easily. You're able to have the spectator cut to the force card by themselves. You're also able to dribble through the cards, showing, you know, supposedly that all the cards are the same. That's a really big plus. Again, not examinable, so it's a little bit tricky to do that. I actually really like the Svengali deck because you can do some really cool tricks with it. Like you can actually perform in any card at any number with the Svengali deck. If you know how to do that right, it actually hits really hard. So yeah, that's like probably the main reason why I would use the Svengali deck. Okay, anyways, let's go on to Mark deck. I love marked decks. To be fair, I haven't really like used them super often. I've sort of just like recently been getting back into them. I used to have the butterfly deck, which is actually down here. We can put that in now. Where is that? I feel like I included that. Maybe I didn't actually. I think maybe I did, but then I deleted it because I figured that the mark deck would include it. Okay, so anyways, I got the butterfly deck many years ago, and I would still argue that that is like easily one of the best marked decks ever invented, just because first of all, the design is just gorgeous. It's such an incredibly cool looking design, but also the marking system is genius, and it's so like intricate, and there's so many different tricks that you can use with this. It's not just like a trick where you can know what the card is just by looking at it. There's literally infinite possibilities. Like you can look at the markings and you can tell exactly where a certain card is in the deck. That's like one of the benefits of the butterfly deck. So yeah, that is like one of the best marked decks that I own currently. Another one that I also love, which is not as intricate, but is a lot more simple, is the Boris Wild marked deck. I picked that up about last year or so. That one has really, you know, opened my mind up to using marked decks more, just because of how simple that one is to use. The marking is like super clear, but also very hidden from the spectator. Like they won't be able to see it at first glance. So yeah, if you don't have the Boris Wild marked deck, pick that up. Super good deck. Highly recommend. Okay, I mean, Riffle Shuffle, like, yeah, that's a great shuffle. I use it all the time. Overhand Shuffle, I also use this all the time. And both of these, you know, I can include like controls using these shuffles. You know, the Overhand Shuffle, I mainly use like an in-jog control now. And it looks super fair. And I feel like I've done it a lot in my shorts. And a lot of people are like, hey, you shuffled the deck, but the cards were still on top. How did you do that? And I always have to respond like, sorry, I was doing the in-jog control, which I have made a video for. So if you want to check out how to do that, please feel free to watch that video. But yeah, no, I mean, these are like every day. I use them all the time, even just when I'm playing with cards. Okay, so double undercut. This was like probably the first ever control I learned, probably the first ever control anybody learns when they're starting out a trick. I do actually use this still quite a bit, but not as like a main control. I'll use it if it's incorporated in the method of a trick, but I'm not going to use the double undercut as like a main way to control a card to the top or the bottom. But I do use it all the time. I just feel like on its own, it's not like a good standalone control for me personally. I think there are better, more fair looking controls out there. All right, let's move on to the snap change. All right, this might be a little controversial for some people. I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. I think it's a bit overhyped. I think it looks great on camera. Not gonna deny that at all. But in real life, it's extremely angle sensitive. I have rarely been able to pull this off without someone like seeing the card behind. It's really tricky to pull off. So for that reason, I don't really like using it ever. I think it's a great camera trick. So if you guys want to use it on a camera, by all means, go ahead and do it. But I don't know, for me personally, I like never perform this in real life. So classic pass, oof, yeah. I have to say, I actually do use the classic pass so much. It's easily one of my favorite controls, just because like, I can do it when I'm just talking to the spectator, just like, you know, playing with the cards, and no one is really like suspecting anything. Like, especially if you get it down to be like really clean, it's really invisible. And it doesn't even have to be like, you know, Alex Pandrea brick pass level to be invisible. Like, obviously if the spectator is burning your hands, then you want it to be as clean as possible, but I typically do it when the spectator is like not looking at the deck. Like, I'll wait for them to like look at me in the eyes, and then that's when I'll do the pass. And yeah, it usually goes unnoticed. I really haven't had any issues with it, and I do it very often. Okay, so the Herman pass, this is an interesting one because I actually used to do this a lot back in the day, but I haven't done it in a very long time, to be honest. It's basically the reverse of the classic pass. Where instead of moving the top half to the bottom, you're moving the bottom half to the top. It's literally the same thing, but you're just kind of doing it in a different way. I'm only putting it in B just because I don't typically use it as much nowadays, but I do think it's a really clean control and a really clean way to maneuver the cards around. So, okay, clip shift. This is going to be another lower tier one, just because of how angle sensitive it is, and just like, it's something that I can do. Like, I can show you the current progress of my clip shift. Like, I'm fully capable of performing the move, but like, in no world am I ever gonna be able to do this. Even on camera, I really don't even think I can pull this off to make it as clean as it could be. So that's why I'm gonna have to rank this in D tier. So next up is the paintbrush color change. I don't really like this change either, to be honest. It's not my favorite. I think it can look really good if you're good at it, but me personally, again with the color changes, I'm not a big fan of color changes just in general, so I just feel like I'm gonna be a bit harsh on the color changes for this tier list. But if you like it, you know, that's all you. So, okay, Raise Rise. If you guys don't know what Raise Rise is, it's considered to be one of the hardest tricks ever to learn. I'm gonna have a really fun time right now attempting to do it, and I haven't tried this in many years because I just gave up when I first learned this, but it should look something kind of like this when the card rises up through the deck. That wasn't horrible, but definitely not good. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I'm good at this trick at all, so for me personally, I don't use this. I'm putting it in D tier. It is an incredible trick. Maybe I'll put it in C. I mean, it's so sick when you can pull it off. But for me, I just don't use it, and this is a tier list kind of for me, so I just don't really think it deserves C. For me personally. Okay, so next up, Magician's Choice Equivoque. That's an easy yes. This is something that I use almost every day, all the time, and I'm really trying to perfect my Magician's Choice to sound more and more natural, more and more fair. Because I used to do this back in the day, and I didn't really know the intricacies of like making your, you know, words sound as fair as possible and like letting the spectator have a seemingly like free choice. I wasn't really good at using ambiguous language, but now I've really come to the point where I think I've gotten a good handle on like what makes Equivoque good. So I use this all the time, and it's something that I like will die on a hill on. Is like, this is like one of the essentials of Magic for sure. Okay, so Classic Force. This is actually something I do use a lot now, and it's something that I feel like I haven't necessarily taught on the channel before, just because it's something that I feel like I'm also struggling to get better at. It's something that I am still practicing to this day. But it's basically a force that literally just looks like you are spreading through the cards, and then you just have them touch any card. And when they touch a card, that will be the force card. It looks that clean. And it feels great, but you know, I do perform this a lot. It doesn't hit every single time. I do have workarounds if it doesn't work. But the fact that it looks so fair and so clean, it deserves an A, because it's like, if you can pull this one off, it's probably gonna be your go-to force forever. Okay, anyways, let's do Psychological Force. I'm also gonna put this one in A. I think this is easily one of the best types of forces, and when I say Psychological Force, I guess I'm referring to like a timing force, like a stop force. So you can either put the card like in the 8th position and then deal slowly, and they should say stop around 8, or you can also do like the Danny D'Ortiz way of just holding a break in the middle of the deck and then dropping packets and sort of timing it right. That's kind of the main way that I use it, and I use it all the time, and I've actually gotten pretty good at it to the point where I feel like I can pull it off almost every single time. So this is definitely something that I stand by a lot. Anyways, let's move on to this. So this stands for One-Handed Top Palm. This is like the main way that I typically palm a card out of the deck nowadays. Probably would also have to put this in A just because of how often I use this. If you can get good at it, like it really is second nature. It feels super easy to just get that card in palm. Flies by super quick. No one really catches it. It's great. Okay, Bluff Pass. This is actually a super underrated control. I think that deserves a lot of credit. It's basically a riffle force, but in a really interesting way where instead of picking up half the deck, you're only picking up one single card. So you have them say stop and have them put it back, but I'm literally just holding one card. But because of my fingers holding the cards like this, you won't be able to see the depth of the cards. And there's also a version of Bluff Pass that I've seen where I don't think I'll be able to do it on camera here, but you have them say stop, and then you have them put the card back, but you're not even holding anything in your hand. I probably didn't make that look good, but that is a thing that exists, and it is possible. I've tried it before. It's actually kind of fun to use. So definitely, give the Bluff Pass a try if you haven't tried it out yet. Okay, so Elmsley Count. I feel like a lot of people don't like the Elmsley Count because they say that it looks unnatural, because who counts cards like that in that way? I do agree with the people, like, to some degree. But the fact that I use it so often in a lot of my tricks, I do feel like it should go a bit higher. But I think, to be fair, it is not the most natural looking move. Like, I do agree. It can look a little bit suspicious. But I do use it all the time. So that's why I'll put it in B. Okay, so Rising card. This is referring to like the gimmick deck, or I guess maybe just kind of the plot in general of the Rising card. I think it's cool. I never really perform any type of Rising card tricks. The only one that I really ever do, I probably can't even show it on camera, but it's called Uprising by Richard Sanders. This is like an impromptu Rising card. That is the best Rising card in my personal opinion, because you can do it with any deck of cards, completely impromptu. It's great. But the gimmick version of the deck, where you have the string and the pulley and the like weight and the sticky thing, ew, no, I hate that. I really don't think it's good, so I'm just putting that in D. This is something I never use, so that's why I'm putting it here. Anyways, let's move on to double backers and facers. I think these are super underutilized tools that can be, real weapons in your arsenal if you know how to utilize them properly. That being said, I don't use them super often. I really want to use them more often, but the fact that they can't really be examinable is a bit of an issue for me. And also, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay, so let's do Tenkai Palm. This is a way to palm the card. If you don't know what a Tenkai Palm is, it looks something like this, where the card is hidden in your hand. I hope the angle is good, but this is the exposed view. Really clean, actually, very clean palm. I don't use this all the time, but it's a really good way to hold the card if you want to switch it out, if you are also lapping a card. So this, I would probably put it in B. Yeah, I'll put it in B, because I do use it sometimes. It is really clean also. Okay, so let's go to Sandwich Plot. This is just like the idea of a sandwich card trick. So I really like sandwich card tricks personally. My favorite version that I've created is the one where you spread the cards on the table and they see the sandwich, or they see the pair of cards in the middle with nothing in between them. You have them think of any card, and with no sleight of hand, you square up the cards, and boom, it's there. It appears in between the sandwich. So that is like one of my personal favorite tricks, and I have learned a lot of sandwich plots in the past, like a lot of different types of tricks using the sandwich plot. So I do think that it is something I would put pretty high up, because it is something that I stand by. Okay, so Triumph. I really like Triumph a lot. I know a lot of different versions. I guess, like the sloppy shuffle is a very typical one that a lot of people use. There's a lot more versions that use like pretty heavy sleight of hand as well. There's also the version with the double back cards, if you know that one. I think I taught it on my channel many, many years ago, but excuse me. Where you have half the deck double backers, and then you can do like the cleanest possible Triumph, where you can genuinely shuffle the cards, and then with seemingly, pretty much no sleight of hand at all, you can show the cards shuffled face up, face down, and then with just one move, the entire deck straightens out. It looks so cool, but of course not examinable, so that's why not my favorite. I'd put it in, I don't know. No, I'll put it in A. It is really magical. I think the idea of the Triumph plot is like genuinely amazing, so that's why I'll put it there. The reactions I get typically are very, 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 very good. Okay, let's move on to any card at any number plot. This is like, considered to be the holy grail of Magic, and I know a ton of different versions of this trick. I've tried to create my own versions of this trick myself. Yeah, I'll put it in A, because I do think this is like definitely one of my favorite ideas in Magic. Like, trying to make this trick seem as fair as possible is like the goal. I feel like I've created a lot of versions that seem a bit too involved and a bit too hands-on, so I'm always trying to make it better. But like the Atomic deck that just came out, even though that got so much controversy, that was crazy, the idea of that trick deserves like an A tier, even if the Atomic deck isn't perfect. I do think the plot itself is really something to see, to believe. Anyways, let's go on to Marlo Tilt. This is a control that puts the card in the second position. I think it's actually really good. I don't use it all the time though, that's why I'll put it in B. Personally, I think there are better controls and controls that I personally use more often. I don't know, but I did put the bluff pass here and it is the same as that, so maybe I'll move it up just to match, because they are kind of the same idea. Yeah, no, that's fair. I'll put it in A. Okay, anyways, let's go to open prediction. This is like just another, plot of a trick where you have a prediction on the table, do the trick, and then the prediction will match the card. So I'd put this probably also an A, just because there's so many tricks that use this idea of the prediction, and there's a lot of tricks in my personal repertoire that use this plot, so that's why I'll put it there. Okay, next up, card index. This is something that's like kind of a secret item. If you don't know what a card index is, it's basically something that you have in your pocket that can hold an entire deck of cards, but in an organized fashion in your pocket, so that at a moment's notice, if a card is named, for example, like the Ace of Hearts, I can just like feel tactically with my fingers and remove the exact card from my pocket without looking, but I have an entire deck of cards in my pocket. That's kind of the downside, is you have an entire deck of cards in your pocket, but the upside is that you can produce any card at a moment's notice. To be fair, I don't actually own like a card index, like a professionally made one. I used to have the Daniel Madison one. I forget the name of it. I think it's Devil's Advocate. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But I think that was an index he created. It's something you can build yourself at home. That was something I used to have, but I didn't like it that much. And I just feel like there's better things. I won't put it in F because I know it is useful. I know people do use it, but for me personally, like, this is going in the category of things that I never use. That's just kind of what this is. Okay, moving on, Ace Assembly plot. There's a ton of different tricks that use this plot. I actually had a video where I performed this exact plot to my high school during a talent show. That was a really fun time, and also I posted that video on the channel. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. It's really cool. It's a really cool trick. To be fair, I don't use it that much, but it is something that can be really exciting for the spectators. So definitely, I'll put it in B. I won't put it in A, just because I don't really use it that much anymore. Okay, for me, this is going to be controversial. I never do Torn and Restored. I just maybe it's my phobia of ruining cards, because I own so many decks of cards that I just don't want to destroy. But yeah, I don't really get the hype. I think it's a cool idea and a cool trick, and I've seen Torn and Restored tricks that have made my jaw drop, don't get me wrong. But for me personally, if I was to choose any of these tricks on this list to perform, this would be the last one I would choose, just because it does involve a lot of sleight of hand. Most of them are really, really hard to do. So for that reason, I'm just putting it in F, because I feel like I'm never gonna really take the time to learn a Torn and Restored trick, just because it's not my personal style. But hey, if it's yours, by all means, that's great. Okay, multiple outs. Ooh yeah, this is an S tier thing right here, because I think it's just so clever, and you can really make some miracle tricks out of this concept of having multiple different endings to a trick, because if you make it seem like that was the intended outcome the entire time, then the spectator will have zero way to backtrack the trick, because they'll try to make sense of it and it just won't make sense because of how impossible it was. And that's what multiple outs can, make the trick seem like. So definitely, it's something that I use a lot, and I really try to create tricks and use tricks that use multiple outs, because I think they are some of the coolest tricks out there. Okay, moving on to jazzing, another S tier. This is just the concept of improvisation and card magic. This is something that, I've come to have a real love for. Really inspired by Ollie Mealing, for one. He's one of my favorite magicians who uses this a lot in his tricks. He very often will just sort of improv and make stuff up on the spot, and it kind of lets the trick just be genuinely impossible, because you can let the spectator shuffle the deck, do whatever, and they can make the miracle happen if you get lucky. And you do get lucky a lot more often than you'd think. If you really do start trying to use jazzing in your tricks, believe it or not, you will get lucky way more often than you would expect. That's something I've come to learn, and that's why I put it in S, because I think it's super underutilized by a lot of people. I think people really need to start using this a lot more, because that's what makes miracles happen. Because yeah, using luck to your advantage is just like the ultimate secret weapon in card tricks. So yeah, that's why it's an S tier thing for me. Okay, next up, turnover pass. This is actually something I do use a lot, and I do think it's really, really like hidden if you can pull it off right. Yeah, I'll put it in A, because it's easily one of the most natural looking moves that I know how to do. Yeah, definitely an A tier thing. Okay, second deal. This is something that I feel like I'm not the best at it, so I wouldn't put it in like A, but I might put it in like C, just because like it's something that I really don't typically use all that often. If I were to really practice it and get better at it, maybe. But yeah, for me personally, not my go-to sleight. Okay, next up, peek. This is just like any type of way to peek the spectator's card or get information of the spectator's card. The one that I typically use, I'm putting it in A. Maybe I'll put it in S. I don't know, but this is the one that I typically use, where you have the spectator call out stop, and then you can shuffle the deck, and I know it was the 10 of spades. Like, super, super easy to do. There's also this one that I love where you have them say stop, and it was the 2 of clubs. Like, there's so many different peeks that you can do. And I think it's a really great tool to have, because it lets you like give the deck to the spectator and they can shuffle it. So for that reason, yeah, I'll put it in A, because I think it's a really, really great tool. Okay, laser deal. This is a funny one. This is if you've seen Shin Lim on Jimmy Fallon. Yes, I think he did this on Jimmy Fallon. It's a type of deal where you can deal the cards on the table and it looks like they're turning invisible, like in an instant. And it's really visually very, very cool. Leonard Green is like the pioneer of this. Yeah, this is like something that I, again, never use. It's a really cool idea. I'll put it in D just because I never use this ever. But I won't deny that it is really cool looking. So yeah, that's where that will go. Okay, French kiss trick. Okay, if you guys don't know what this is, let me just explain. I'm sure many of you know what this is if you've made it this far in the video, but if you don't know what the French kiss trick is, this is like, in my opinion, the cringiest trick ever invented, because it involves you typically, like if you're a male magician, it involves you getting a female spectator and signing 2 cards, putting the cards in your mouth, getting really close together, and then the cards switch. I just think it's a stupid plot. I think it's really cringe, very outdated. And there's better ways to do the trick. Like you can just put the card like in your pocket, or you can just have the card sandwiched in your hand. You don't need to make it all like sexual with the mouth. It's just, it's so creepy and weird, and I really don't like it. So that's why I'm putting it in F. Yeah, I think we should abolish this trick from the magic books, from the magic community. I think this should be deleted from existence. Yeah. Anyways, let's go to the DPS. This is something that I feel like recently I've actually gotten pretty good at. I made a short of myself performing the DPS, and I got a lot of comments claiming that it was fake and that I had a duplicate card or something. So thank you so much, by the way, if you commented that, because that's probably the best compliment I could ever receive. from doing a sleight is you claiming that I'm faking it. That's the best compliment ever. That being said, I don't use it all the time, so I'll probably put it in like C, but I won't disagree. This is like a super, super useful move. But yeah, if you can get it down, it's really, really clean. Okay, Pharaoh Shuffle. This is actually an easy S. One, because it's really cool and really fun to do if you can pull it off right. Two, you can actually use the Pharaoh Shuffle as a genuine tool in a lot of tricks. There's a really insane way to control a card to the 26th or 27th position by doing a perfect Pharaoh. It's such an incredible tool. Like, you can just, use that to control cards. Like, I just think that's amazing. And it is something that I do a lot. Even if I'm just playing with cards, like the Pharaoh Shuffle is something that I will, just always use. Okay, so Top Shot, this is like, I doubt I can do it from this angle, but it's this where you have the card just shoot and you catch it from the top of the deck. Super exciting production. I use it a lot to just like, if I am doing a simple little trick where I have like multiple people select a card, that can be one of the productions that I use, will just be a Top Shot. I'll put that in A. I use it a lot actually, and I've gotten pretty good at it, so I think it's something I do pretty often, so there's that. Okay, we're almost done here. Let's go to Top Change. This is like one of the cleanest ways to switch a card. I'm not gonna be able to do it on camera because you really need like misdirection, but it looks something like that. And there's also another way to do it where you can do this and then you kind of like have the card like that. Danny Dortiz is better than me, of course. But that is something that I use all the time. This is like easily one of my favorite ways to switch a card. I'm putting that in S. Yeah, because this is like, it's so clean if you can do it. Okay, next up, Crimp. That's another easy S because, again, just like such an incredible way to have a card like secretly marked in the deck with any deck of cards, and then you can let the spectator shuffle it, and then you're able to control the card anywhere. There's literally just endless possibilities you could do with crimps. And this goes for like corner crimps as well as breather crimps. Those are really, really cool where you can have basically like an invisible crimp in the deck. And if you were to have the spectator like cut anywhere, there's a very high chance, like 80% chance they will cut to the breather crimp because that's kind of how it works. Really, really clever tool. Definitely try it if you haven't already. Okay, Riffle Force. I gotta put it in S. I have to. I know it's overused. I know people like say it's really typical or whatever, but like I've never once been caught, and no one has ever like because this is like something that people say is, what if I stop here? Or what if I stop here? Guys, it doesn't matter. You can stop wherever. Because if you tilt your hand down, no one is going to notice the depth of the cards. Like, no one seems to understand that. And that's why I tell people you have to learn the bluff pass, because that is the epitome of that question of what if they stop at one card, or what if they go all the way to the bottom. Like, guys, do the bluff pass. No one cares. No one is looking. It's crazy how many people ask that question to me. Anyways, Riffle Force, I've never been caught. I use it all the time. People never suspect it. Okay, Crosscut Force. Another incredible force. Man, this is a tough one because I want to put it in S, but I feel like it's not perfect because you do need to have the element of like time misdirection involved. Basically meaning like you do the force, but then you need to kind of step away from the cards for a bit, and you need to like focus on something else for maybe a minute or 30 seconds. And then once you go back to it, the spectators forget which half of the deck was the top half, and it looks like they freely cut to a certain card or whatever. Something I use very, very often, actually, in many of my tricks. And if you know how to do time misdirection correctly, it is something that goes by completely unnoticed. So yeah, definitely high up there for me. Gambler's Cop, this is like, this is, if you don't know what this is, it's a way to palm a card out of the deck like this, and you hold it in your palm like this. And it's a really easy way to get a card out of the deck, and then you can pull it out of your pocket or load it somewhere else, load it into another pile of cards if you want. It's a really, really useful sleight. I'll put that in A. I use it a lot. Yeah, it's a great one. Okay, long distance spinner. I'm gonna attempt to do this on camera and fail miserably. So let's try it. Boom. Oh, I actually did it. I don't know if that was on camera. I can't actually see myself right now. But it's a way to shoot a card out of the deck, catch it. I don't use this that much anymore, but back in the day, this was like my favorite thing ever, because when I first learned it, I was so excited. But I just don't use it as much anymore, so that's why I'm gonna put it in C. Really cool way to shoot a card out of the deck though. Definitely give it a shot if you don't know it. I have made a tutorial for it. So yeah, but I just don't use it that much anymore. Okay, this one, if you don't know what this is, it's called the side angle jog concealment. I wish I could show it to you on camera, but that trick that I explained earlier, where you have the sandwich in the middle of the deck and seemingly there's nothing in between them, and then with no sleight of hand, they square up the cards, snap, respread, and the card appears. That is the side angle jog concealment. It's a way to conceal cards in a spread. So you spread the cards out, you can have cards face up in the deck or face down in the deck. And by spreading the cards, you won't be able to see them until you square up the cards and then respread the cards out. And then the card is revealed. It's such a cool concept, and I use it all the time. I mean, that is like what makes some of my tricks hit so hard, is because I claim to do no sleight of hand whatsoever. And this really gives that illusion that there's just nothing going on, because you don't have to touch anything. Spectator sees the cards as they are, they square them up, they respread, boom. Like, it's really that cool. Okay, so yeah, that's an easy yes for me. I use it a lot. Okay, so next up is Stoogge. If you don't know what this is, it's just like having a friend help you out in a trick. So I'm very lucky. I live with like very close friends, and my best friend, Sam, who has been in a couple of my videos, he can be sometimes an instant Stoogge for me. We actually have this little trick where we can code a card to each other just by using our fingers across the room. So if you have access to a friend who is willing to be a Stoogge or be someone who is in on the trick with you, like your secret assistant, that is something I would definitely consider trying out, because it can lead to some really just kind of funny moments. I mean, it's just kind of like a fun little prank you're pulling on people. No, but like really, in all seriousness, you can do some incredible things with the Stoogge. Like, especially if you are filming street magic or something like I've done in the past. Your cameraman can be a Stoogge. So for example, if you have the spectator pick any card and then they show the camera, now your cameraman knows what the card is, so they can shuffle the card in the deck, and then you secretly can just look at your cameraman. They can either signal with their fingers, do whatever, somehow code you what the card is, and impossibly you can find it. Like, there's things you can do like that with the ability of, or with the option of having a Stoogge. So yeah. Okay, anyways, I guess that's gonna finish off the tier list. Those are all of the items that I included, but definitely I probably forgot something. I mean, these are just like very general kind of topics or like sleights and tricks that I just came up with off the top of my head. But if I missed anything, be sure to include it in the comments below, and I'll try my best to get back to you and tell you where I would rank it in my personal tier list. But yeah, if you guys, have your own opinions on this tier list, that's completely fine. Like, this is just for me personally. These are things like up here in the S tier, these are things that I use every day without fail. And then in A tier, these are things that I will use very often, not all the time, but things that I know are like very, very reliable. B, things that I really, really like, but don't use all the time. C, things that I also think are pretty cool, but just don't really use that often. D, things that I either don't like or don't really use. And then F, I'll never do these ever. So that's my tier list. But anyways, guys, once again, I want to thank you for 500,000 subscribers, and I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. I know it's different than normal, but hopefully you guys, get to like see my face and, put a personality to myself, because like, I know I don't really show my face ever in videos, and you guys like might wonder who I am as an actual person. So hopefully this gives you a little window into that. But yeah, anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. So like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.